It does show.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, it does? Okay. Hey, folks. It is September the 25th, and today we are going to discuss your subchapters 30 and 31. And we're going to talk about the spread of the first caliphate into North Africa, Spain, and Europe, the first caliphs, the Umayyads, and the Abbasids. I probably mispronounced it, but I'm giving the folks here a few minutes to discuss, and they're going to help me go over what's on the board in a minute. So,
If he chooses you, yes.
yeah. One, two, three.
Oh, goodness.
So,
Do I have to run reports since nobody can read my handwriting?
do you have to write reports? What?
Do I have to write reports since nobody can read my
I can
handwriting?
write on the board. I don't care. As long as you tell me the information, I can do the writing.
Because I write in cursive and there's maybe 3 people in here that can read it.
What are you talking about?
I can read it.
I can kind of read it.
Unless you have bad cursive, yes.
I read like for the half the time.
This is
Just and so like the other half I read through, so I kind of.
okay. Well, I'm not going to do that now.
Yeah, I mean, I read it in the morning.
So you went from 31, you skipped 35.
No, I read 35 first. Then realized, came back, read 31.
Okay. Okay.
That's what my head feels like right now. I know that I don't have to my dad, he was in the basement. Whenever they were losing everything, broke the band gunfight. And they got in the dark, so they couldn't see each other. Uncle was one of them Band-Aids.
About a minute and a half left.
They got the hammer. And well, they got inside the vision. My dad he pounded his guard. They just stayed there.
Hey, yeah.
I got immediately like, and my grandpa was next to that hammer and there was blood on it. So yes, it was a hammer. He didn't reach, it was really dark, so he just reached and he hit him. He was angry, but he lost. Those like years that had people.
Right here.
It says
Powder.
What they would do is they would play like a game and they would chase him upstairs. They would dump Legos on the floor and he was always there. He would like run onto the Legos and he would like, he'd be like, yes, we got it. And he'd immediately turn around and pick him up. So whenever he was done with one of them, they'd be like, he's taking him, they couldn't move, so they'd go to the next one and do one.
My brother first watched Mulan. Murdered nearly all of my brothers. And the only one that escaped
Give her the content.
Yes, ma'am. All right, kids. Hey, so the timer is done ticking with the time. Sir. Well, yeah, go ahead. Let me show you today's images real quick. So, yesterday we went over this map. I know it's in Spanish, but whatever, right? So, once again, as a reminder, this is where during the life of Muhammad up to his death, where they had taken the territory. Following his death with those first caliphs, like what they call them, like the righteous caliphs or something like that. What they call them? It was, but the rightly guided caliphs, right? So the ones who followed right after his death, they were elected, and they were either closely related to Muhammad or they were really close to him, right? And then after that, you have the Umayyads, and see here they're from 661 to 750, and that's going to be this yellow territory, and they're the ones who are going to spread deeply into like here, like into Spain, and push further east right up into India, or at least on the edge of it. And then following that, you're going to have the Abbasids, And that's where you start seeing they're going to start spreading up into, we have the battle against Battle of Tours, start spreading into like Sicily, some parts of, like later on we'll see southern parts of Italy. This is actually the Turks, this purple part here. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, they're going to take some of Italy, a lot Greece, Turkey, Eastern Europe, stuff like that. So it's going to be a big, giant empire. It's going to spread into India as well. So this is a timeline of art from the Berbers. And so the Berbers are North African people. We were going to, in many ways, culturally, they were closer to Egyptians, but over time, they're going to be Romanized. And of course, before that, they're going to be tied closely with like ancient Carthage. And then they're eventually going to convert to Islam. And then they're going to start taking on the trappings of the Turkish people, like turbans and stuff like that. We will talk about later. Here we see the spread across North Africa into Spain, all the way up to the Battle of Tours here in 732. So you're going to make it all the way up into France, modern day France, which was at the time the land of the Franks, right before Charlemagne. And after they're driven back, your book's correct to point out that they're actually going to start having friendly relations with the Frankish people. Like Charlemagne was given gifts. Like your book said that he was given the gift of an elephant. And apparently he loved the elephant. Like even though it was all the way up in a very cold part of Germany, they would try to keep it warm and stuff like that. They managed to live for quite some time. And so Charlemagne had his pet elephant. Let's see. There's another bit of the Abbasids. And yeah, they're going to start fragmenting off into basically their own little kingdoms right before the Seljuk Turks are going to come in. And the Turks are going to largely unify. And then later on, you're going to have other Turks come in called the Ottoman Turks who are going to take over and make the empire even bigger, right? So we'll get to that later. And here's the last fragments of the Byzantine Empire. A little bit of it here. So, and that is an artist rendition of Baghdad. And so Baghdad's going to be the capital for, I think, the Abbasids. And so you're going to see the capital move around, determining who's in charge. And that makes a lot of sense. You want to move the capital where you have more control over it. So
I heard that it was called the Baghdad House of Wisdom. Is that true?
The Library of Baghdad?
I believe so.
Yeah, because the Library of Baghdad was very famous, but I think it's actually going to be destroyed later by the Mongolians. Yeah, I think the Mongolians are going to sweep through and just burn it down. Well, yeah, it really stinks when these ancient libraries fall apart. Like before this time, you had like the Library of Alexandria, which is supposed to be a copy of every known book at the time in the Western world, and it's going to be lit on fire on purpose by an arsonist who wanted to be famous for burning it down.
Is he
It did work. Yeah, his name's still in print. So
I guess it worked.
yeah. So he was executed for it. So there was a price to pay.
Right. For fame, I must die.
All right. So here's how it's going to work. So y'all are going to help me out. I'm going to start with this half of the room. So first off, Hunter and Shelby, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to come up with the answer for this part here. Go. All right. And so Ariel and Eladra, I want you to come up with the answer for Spain and Europe. The spread.
Can we do the first?
This one. We're getting out of our comfort zone. All right. So Zoe and Kelby, the first caliphs, was like, was it 4 or 5 guys? Robert Kelton, y'all are doing the Umayyads. And so you 2 last guys, y'all got it. All right.
Okay.
It's right here. The
Last
Abbasids. And it's pretty easy.
Yeah, get a part of what I read about.
All right, so spend a couple minutes, get proficient. You are the experts, and I can pick your answers if you're on the board.
Need pairs.
What's the Muslim's congregation? You're not reading that book. No, what's the Muslim congregation? They gave the religion and government.
On paper. How is it on board? I'm not that good. Turbo in on there. Okay. That's one.
You got
I didn't know.
Yeah, so
All right, you got another minute.
the Abbasids murdered them. Every last one.
Yeah, no. One escaped to Spain. One escaped to Spain. Remember that.
Yeah, one skipped to Spain.
Nearly
Started.
all.
Lovely.
Nearly.
So we spat on that.
There's something
Found
of
it at
Cordova.
And he found in Cordova.
But
Darn state.
No, you know that scene. It's bigger.
And then it became the caliphate of Cordova.
Cairo.
That's right. Absolutely, positively
Yeah,
correct.
we know. You're talking.
One of its most prominent.
California.
This is so big,
United
you go
States. United States. Okay. Texas. We're gonna
Oh,
secede.
no, that's me. I'm not gonna be able to reach that.
Oh, the precious oil.
Actually,
Oh, the
oil and oil adds not as much.
Yeah, we have more oil.
This is where oil comes from.
Yeah, they can get oil from Alaska, but not much. We could survive on our own. I bet we could survive.
All right, folks, let's go ahead and begin, right? So, seems like a good stopping point. All right, so my super friend experts, what do y'all got to say about the first one?
What was that?
Should I tell you?
Yeah, go ahead and tell me. I'll just put it up on the board for you.
They were conquered by the Muslims,
Uh-huh.
and then once they were conquered, they gave the religion and the government to the, did you say it's Berbers?
The Berbers.
Okay.
And then it became one of the most permanent conquests.
Uh-huh. Hey, guys. In the hands of the locals, yeah, the Berbers. Yeah, Berbers after they converted. So yeah, so we see they're not Arabic people. You'd say like from an outside standpoint, their lifestyle is pretty similar, especially after the conversion. But of course, the Berbers, if I remember correctly, they're more sedentary people, more agriculture, and they're also more open to like the ocean. So they're seafaring people. And they have trade going through that. So cool stuff. And yeah, so a lot of this conversion is voluntary, but some people resist. And so some people who resist the invasions, of course, they're slaughtered, right? Ancient militaries were often brutal. And some people wound up living as Christians and Jews under Islamic rulership as well, as we mentioned yesterday. Hey, experts, what about Spain and Europe? Huh? What about it?
Spain
Uh-huh.
beat it in 7-Eleven.
Yeah. 7-Eleven, all right.
That's how you can.
But,
It explains everything.
Tyreek or Tarek or something.
Yeah.
They were attacked by the Doritos.
Now, here's the thing about the names. The names I'm not going to put here, but you might find that I did put them in your Quizlet sets. So when we have a quiz on Thursday, you might want to go over some of those. Yeah. So,
And, yeah.
not by. Uh-huh.
They basically, they took half of Spain after one battle.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what was it? Was it the Visigoths there? Or
Yeah.
was it the Vandals? Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, they were very. They had a pretty weak form of government. They weren't very stable. So, very unstable.
The team. Shoot. Shall we say?
Fail easily. And they weren't expecting this, too. This was a big surprise. So, so thank you very much. I think it wasn't so bad. All right. So, moving right along from there, the first caliphs. So, what do we got?
So after Muhammad, or like the first Muhammad was his father-in-law.
Yeah.
Bector.
Yeah, the first was, I will put his name down. Abu. Here's. And was it just Bakr?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, he's the father-in-law of Muhammad, and he is supposedly, according to Islamic tradition, he's the guy who puts together the last into writing the last bits of the Quran, right? And so he's like an important figure to Islam. Here?
No. Over. Other direction.
Oh, okay. Like that?
Yeah.
Becker? Okay. Was first after.
After him was Umar, who had been one of Muhammad's faithful servants.
Mhm.
Who followed Muhammad no matter what.
Okay. And I think what we're going to put here is kind of like a theme. And so like the theme is after that, how many were there total? There was Abu Bakr,
Four.
so,
Five.
and 4 others.
Because you can-
Who were not were I'll get another red, closely tied to Muhammad. And so everything's cool because because it's kind of like early Christianity. With early Christianity, there was disagreements amongst Christians, but a lot of these people were either the apostles or they directly knew the apostles. So there wasn't a lot of terrible infighting, right? Well, it's kind of like here, you got guys who are close to Muhammad, and so things are kind of, not a lot of people are disagreeing with them, so things are kind of stable. But then things are going to kind of get unstable.
Yeah, it became hereditary.
Become a monarchy, just like the rest of the world. And that brings us to used tos. So what you got, guys? Tell us about the Umayyads.
So the governor of Syria insinuated himself in power.
Yeah. So the governor of Syria, And the thing is, Syria is a large country, but back in the day, this used to be a Roman province, right? And it was a giant province. It took up a lot of land, bigger than it is now.
That sounds so good. Because it's not like an actual.
So governor of Syria became Khalid. So,
Show stuff out.
and
Choking.
established, we're just gonna call it a monarchy. And when we start talking about the Turks later, we're gonna talk about the nature of the monarchies, because like right now, it's a largely an Arabic-run country, or empire. When it becomes a Turkish empire, they're going to go through changes. They're going to take on like the Turks would do things like whenever you became, they would eventually be called the Sultan instead of the Caliph, and you became the Sultan. You had all your brothers executed, because if you have brothers around, they might lead an uprising. So they had like a tradition where they take a silken cord and put it around the neck and just strangle them. So maybe without the sound effect. I guess if you do it quick enough. So, but as of now, this is seen as like, it makes a lot of people upset because there's assassinations involved. All of a sudden, it's no longer something that's seen as a choice of the elders. So I don't like that. So, anything else?
And then the capital was moved to the Syrian city of Damascus.
Yeah, capital moved to Damascus. And so Damascus is a very ancient, powerful, rich city in Syria. So of course he's going to move the capital in his home, right? So anything else?
And then it says here that the descendants of Muhammad's family refused to recognize Umayyads as legitimate caliphs.
Yeah, so, and this is where you're going to start seeing problems too. I just say didn't like it. I'm trying to shorten it up. And so if you're a theocracy, which means that your government is your religion and your religion is guided by your government's guided by your religion, then yeah, they're not going to like that very much. They're like, hey, wait, you're going against the tenets of the faith. So it's going to be some problems. All right. Last one, guys, the Abbasids. So what we got for these fillers?
They established a new dynasty.
So EST period, a new dynasty.
They also murdered all of the members of the Umayyad family.
Yeah.
Almost all.
All but
Nearly all.
one member.
He escaped to Spain and founded Cordoba.
The Caliphate of Cordova.
Cordoba. And it became an independent dynasty.
Yeah. And we'll just go escape to Spain. Level Cordova. Now, where they move the capital to?
They moved the capital to Cairo.
Cairo.
Cairo?
Cairo.
That's what
Was it Cairo? I thought they moved it to Baghdad.
No,
No, well, it says.
Oh, that's gonna be the Turks, yeah.
North Africa and Egypt united.
All right, yeah, they're gonna move it to Cairo, Egypt. That's right. Hey, that's where we're going to end today, folks. See, that wasn't so bad. This is actually what I want y'all to do every time we talk about these readings. But I guess I'll just start partnering you, giving you time. So that's okay. So that's going to end it for today's lecture. We're going to go over the next two sub chapters tomorrow. See, that's my dyslexia. I'm like taking my sentence and I'm putting it Monday. My treat to you. All right. See you later, kids. Yeah.